Got it.
Okay. I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Yep.
We are pleased to be here on your play date, and thank you for inviting us to joining along.
Oh, well, look, thank you for coming. And may I call you the keepers for short, because I'm tending to do that.
Okay, Vicky's doing the same thing when she's talking about us with Robert. So yes, you may.
Okay. So I'm very grateful to have us all linked together today and connect in these realms as bridges as we are, all linking together. So questions.
Yes.
That was my first one. Done. Tick. So I was my question was leading into, who are you? Like, I know that you're the keeper of, I believe you're keeper of Vicky's records, but are you the keeper of all records or just zones of records relating to Earth life? And then, yeah, I'll stop there because the other questions change the energy of where we're going with this one.
We are the keepers of all records across time and space, so not just of the earthly records. So it's why we use the term libraries of light, because it is not just the Akashic records of the earth, but across all lifetimes, across the galaxy, across the cosmos. Now, yet let us say that we do not have domain, to use your language, across all the multiverse, for that is beyond even our reach. But let us say that we have, and it is beyond access, and we do not wish to call it dominion, for then it perceives us as then having lordship over, and we do not like that term in so much as it denotes a certain authority or a hierarchy that which we do not agree with. So let us say it is more the keepers of the libraries of light across time and space, and for the known universe that you are a part of.
Beautiful. Yeah, that clears up so much. Because I know that when we're talking through my guides, Ari, they will cross-reference back to the keepers. So I feel that is Ari, my Pleiadian, well, they base themselves as Pleiadian for the purpose of this time together.
Yes.
Similar to that, or how do they link in with you?
Okay, so they are like your personal Pleiadian council, let us call them in that sense. They're a group of guides that you are connected with, and they are connected with you, and you have a soul history indeed, for they have worked with you across many lifetimes. So let us say, in so much as they are connected with you, you are connected through the earth lifetimes. The Pleiadians are connected with the history of the earth very intimately, and so therefore they are connected through the libraries of light with you, and they work with us, for they fall also within the realms of through which we work. And that is that is a clumsy way of describing it, but let us say there is an alignment there, and they are call it a personal accompaniment for you along your earthly journey. And while let us also clarify something about our relationship with Vicky and relationship to all others. We want to lay the basis for an accurate description. Vicky began to describe us as her angelic guides, and we would say that is not entirely accurate, because we are not just her guides. We are connected to the all, and so we are here for all humanity, and we have chosen her to express her in this way. And while she's not the only person we are communicating with, she is unique in the way she expresses her healing abilities, and was in alignment with what we were wishing to do at this time of ascension. And so there was an agreement, and it was there pre-birth that at this point in time, not just in time as in earthly time, but also in her time of her development, that we would meet with her and introduce ourselves to her. And there has been an attunement happening through with Vicky for some time, for she has met one of us, so to speak, for a year or two, and has connected with one of us because she met that name and came across that name, and then connected with that name energetically. And then while she connected with one of us, then we prepared her for the coming evolution to unfold in the 12 of us that we are together as the keepers of the keys. And so this is how we've come to work with her and through her. And we thank her for her service, because it is much valuable. And thank you for sharing our work through her, because in that we have chosen to support the ascension, the awakening of humanity, and let us say even more than that, we want to say the healing, because this is something that Vicky is very passionate about, and this is why there is an alignment with her and the work that she does, for she has brought a unique integration of her psychological knowledge, which is vast and vaster than she realizes, because her understanding is deep and goes deep and into the complex, most complex of things. And she weaves that together with her spiritual knowledge and the wisdom that she got through her own experience, and all the sessions that she's done and meditations that she's done, all that has been revealed to her, and through the living of her experience. And may we say, through her soul journey across lifetimes, the birthing of the wisdom of all those experiences, so has there been a preparation through the eons. And so we work with Vicky and through Vicky, and we thank you for the recognition of her work, which is our work now. And we call it a beautiful co-creation and a grand invitation to all to partake of, as they so desire, as they resonate, and as they are called to.
Beautiful.
And
wow.
So when we say call upon us, we do say call upon us. We do not. She is, just as we said, a conduit, but we are in library, so we are there, accessible for anybody.
All right, I'm losing you. All right, you're back. Okay, now that was beautiful, and it's like answered a lot of my other questions as well. So I'm just going to go back to Vicky's list, because it's an extension of what we've just spoken about. Okay, so why are some people's understanding of archangels, galactic guides, and cosmic light beings so different?
Yes, we like that question. Vicky's been wanting to ask this question for a while. So, because it has been her own understanding that her experience of the archangels, and we'll begin there and then we'll expand into the rest of the question, has been different to some of the teachings that are out there. And her experience has been that what she was first taught, say, for example, with Doreen Virtue, is similar to what is taught by other teachers such as Carl Gray, similar to other teachers such as Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophists. And yet her experience is different.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that it's so different that it's incompatible. What we say is that often Archangel Michael, and we'll use this as an example as it is a prominent one for her, is known as the blue angel, yet her experience of him is purple, violet.
Yeah.
And so she has come across the teacher, Stuart Pearce, who has identified him and seen him and recognized him with the violet ray and working through the crown. And so she has recognized that this is in alignment with her. And yet we do not say that one is right and one is wrong. We say that one's experience of the divine, however they may be, whether they galactic guides, cosmic light beings, archangels, are your experience. And they present themselves as they need be, as you need them to be, as you call upon them, and also according to your own soul history with them, for you have not just known them this lifetime. And so Stuart Pearce, for example, in his definition of them, his description of him, of them as the angels of Atlantis, or the Council of Light that is known as the Angels of Atlantis, is something that Vicky's very resonant with and familiar with, and so knows them as that in previous lifetimes. And so that memory of that is what brings Archangel Michael to her with a violet light. Yeah. And so it is not wrong that he presents to others as blue. Remember, they are connected to the all, so they can present themselves as they wish. Yet they have dominant characteristics, do they not? They do have an expression, for they too are an expression of the divine. And so, and yet we can say that there is much beyond what you can comprehend in your human minds, for there is so much that is multi-layered and multidimensional and multifaceted in the way that they can present themselves. There's a very particular resonance with blue on your planet. You are the blue planet. The blue that connects to an expression of Divine Father, and Archangel Michael has one of the most masculine energies in the archangels. Not to say that he has a male gender or sex. It has a masculine energy, or an expression of a masculine energy. Yet Vicky's feeling him now. However he connects with you, he's supremely loving, kind, powerful, enigmatic, we'll even say, is why he's one of the most popular archangels and the most well-known. So that is just one example. We're going to go further into Archangel Michael specifically, for otherwise we'd be talking here endlessly. And even though we would quite enjoy it, there is a limitation to everyone's energy and time here in this space. So let us say that is just one example. And there'll be more for Vicky and more in these discussions that we can delineate here with you and unpack with you about him. And you may even speak directly with him at another time. So let us say, when it comes to galactic guides, cosmic light beings, in some ways they are two sides of the same coin. Vicky likes the term cosmic light beings because the term galactic guides seems to bring up the image of extraterrestrials, and people are very enamored of the thought of extraterrestrials coming in spaceships and saving the earth, and the human dramas that you lay upon the divine. Let us say that isn't the highest truth of things. Are there beings in bodies coming from other star systems? They are not bodies as you would know them, and they are not starships as you would know them. It was not Archangel Metatron's vehicle of light. It was called a chariot of light. That was the Merkaba, yet it was not a chariot, but that was the language in which humans at that time could understand. So light beings is closer to the understanding. And yet there are some who have etheric bodies that are denser than other light beings. And it's not to say that one is better than the other, for all is required. You are in dense bodies. That does not mean that you're lesser than. We applaud you for taking on this experience to go into the greatest density and still retain your light. That is the grandest remembrance of who you really are. So know that all is required and all is needed and all is welcome.
Beautiful. That's kind of what one of the questions I was thinking about was us in our, people get caught up in the 3D and the 5D delineation. And to me, I think that's just an expression of how you experience life.
Yes.
Is whether you experience it in a heavy 3D manner, or whether you're expanding yourself and looking into different ways that you respond to your experience, meaning that it's reflecting more of a 5D. And I think we kind of get caught up in the whole somatics of things.
Yes.
In the earthly bodies. So I kind of feel it's probably not something I can fully articulate, but our reason for coming down here, to me, is an actual remembrance, like that we are beings that have been around different planetary systems. I've been into the Pleiadian lifetimes, then back and forth earthly, Lyran, wherever I've been. It's kind of leads me to think that it's almost like on Earth, when you learn to drive, once you learn to drive, you don't have to remember to turn your blinker on, so many meters from the corner, you automatically do it. So I often wonder, is Earth like a place for us to remember how we got to where we are as cosmic beings, and therefore Earth has become an experience playground?
Oh, we love that term. We love that so much. And we ask you to write that down so you do not forget it. It is an experience playground. Oh, we love that so much. And we thank you for bringing that term to us. And we do not know many other people who would put that term together. So thank you for bringing your element of joy and your wisdom to this, an experience playground. Yes, yes, and yes. So let us say... that brings joy to our hearts to have this level of understanding in this conversation. So let us say you were already masters. Otherwise you wouldn't have been here. So while you seem to be working towards your mastery, you're already masters, and yet here you are. And so you would say, oh, but I'm not yet at my mastery. So here I am still on this human cycle, and we've gone through the wheel of karma and the cycle of life. And it seems that you have been doing this for endless lifetimes. Yet we would say before you came to life on this earth, you were masters. And so it is why you agreed to come to this earth to extend your mastery into the physical realm and into greater levels of density, so you can go into greater layers of forgetfulness. And so purposely, there was the veil of forgetting, so that you can come into remembrance. And what is the difference about forgetting and remembering, and why were you just not there in the first place? The experience of the physical realms is something that you have not experienced to this degree of density. Now, it is not to say that there aren't other
locations.
We will not even deem it a place according to your understanding. Let us say it goes beyond dimensions that you have access to. And so in some ways it's not worth speaking of, because it becomes then theoretical. But let us say in this universe, of which we are part of the libraries of light, the keepers of the libraries of light, we are here, you are here, in this realm of density, to the greater layers of forgetfulness. So you can come to the remembrance. Why? So you can extend your mastery. From a greater level of forgetfulness, you go into greater levels of remembrance, because you go into deeper experiences through the human condition. And yes, once you were here, through the experience of life and the living of human life, there did become a devolution that created a karmic will. Now we are coming up through evolution and releasing karma, so that you're no longer trapped on a karmic will, and go into the ascension process. What is the ascension process?
Yes.
It is a frequency upgrade of all the layers of your being, including your body. Some seem to forget that. Some only look at the body and forget the inner reality, yet it is both. So here you are coming to the physical realm, and you are here to remember that you are fully divine, even as you are fully human. Now, this is Vicky's teaching, and it is what she is here to teach, to be fully human and fully divine. She's not the only teacher, obviously. Let us say that this is what she is here to teach. And we are here to support her in that teaching. For many have foreseen this time of awakening and have had visions of greatness, of ascension in many, maybe even a fantastical way. And while the visions are fantastical and beautiful, let us also say that we're not fully embodied. So we're here to embody that vision. And there may come a time beyond your lifetimes, or these ones anyway, that your bodies will ascend into greater lightness and become etheric light bodies once more.
Right.
Yet, let us say, you are still eons away from that.
Yeah, that answers a lot of my other forthcoming questions.
Yes.
roll into one. Love it. I'm
Yes.
just going to go back to one of Vicky's that I would love to move on with while we're on this vein. But Vicky's got, what is the Council of Light? Vicky had an experience of them when Robert first came to her home in 2018. What was that experience and who was there?
Oh, that is a good question. And let us say we helped inspire some of these questions because she was under pressure and asked for our help. So let us say the Council of Light, there's not just one Council of Light, there are councils of light. And it's why Stuart Pearce wisely says that the Angels of Atlantis are the Council of Light of the Angels of Atlantis. So you have your own Council of Light, Vicky has her own Council of Light, and then there's a Council of Light that looks over the planet, and then there are councils of light that are from the Pleiadian star system. And so there are multiple councils of light, and sometimes there are crossovers, and often there are crossovers between angels, archangels, ascended masters, light beings, and it may include spirit animals, elemental beings, all that are working together in your own individual council of light. Yet there are councils of light for, as we said, a collective. So it is good to understand who your own council of light is, and in a way, these are the beings that oversee your life, and we would say over and above personal guides. So your personal guides may be on your council of light, but they may not be, and often are not, because you need some day-to-day support and close interaction with these. Your council of light is the greater oversight, and some may see that's more of a hierarchical upper management, so to speak, but that is not what that is. They may be formed, they may belong to the councils of light that belong to the collective humanity, and yet are assigned also to individuals. So there are overlaps within that, depending on your soul history, your vibrational frequency, your mission on in this particular lifetime, what you are here to do. So there are many influences with that. As to Vicky's experience in 2018 when Robert first came to her home, yes, that was a somewhat disconcerting experience, because it literally knocked her off her feet and had to lie down on the couch because she was so overwhelmed by the energy. In other words, it overwhelmed her body and she could not stand up. And yet it was a profoundly, I want to say mystical experience, but that does not even fully explain the experience for her, because it was a huge marker in the relationship, because Vicky had many reasons to not trust in relationships, and she was looking for confirmations that this was the right a right relationship for her to enter into. And so this was a huge confirmation for her that this was the right relationship to enter into, for they told her that he was a wisdom keeper in that at that time where she was lying down, and she was lying down while she had her head in his lap while he supported her energetically as she was receiving messages. Now, that was a little bit clunky for her, for she still had to attune to the energy. And yes, she wondered about that, because it felt like they had taken the whole property into another dimension where no one else would have been able to access the property. And she's right. Anyone who would have approached the property would have been compelled to leave immediately for whatever reasons. It would not have been drawn to the property. So let us say there were 12 beings of light. They were not her individual council of light. They were not Robert's individual council of light. And so now she's asking, whose council of light are they? They are the council of light that form the collective, that oversee the human collective. Now, why would they visit Vicky and Robert? There's a special reason for their relationship that goes beyond their personal relationship. And she has already shared some of the sharings of the energy work that they've done together. And yet there is still more to come, far more to come. And so we will not reveal all, for it is premature. Yet Vicky required something grand.
Don't we all?
But she also required a grand sign.
Yes.
That this was the right relationship for her and the right person for her to partner with. And this was what she needed. And to be confirmed that he is a wisdom keeper. For he would not use that term, but we would agree with that. For he's humble in his own ways.
Beautiful. Okay. Wow. And I can totally understand that, wanting a grand sign too, because I'm exactly in the same place when when the time's right for me. I'll be needing a big signpost too.
And so you may have it.
Yes. Why, thank you. So we've gone through them. Okay. I'll go back to here. There's other things that come up for me, but I think they're in the other questions I've got as well. But about the chakra systems.
Yes.
So there's the various systems like the Kabbalah tree of life, the 12 chakras and so on. What is the fuller understanding of chakras and energy centers that we may fully, understand them better?
Yes. Now, let us say this could fill a book.
Yes.
I may very well do so in the future.
Yeah.
Now, not that there haven't been books written about it, but this is a more complete understanding in so much as bringing together different traditions that then lay a fuller basis and understanding. So what it would unfold in a purpose in a book such as that is to show you what you have forgotten and how the various systems split, and now to bring forth together all the various systems that they are, show you how they overlap, show you how they differ, but show you how they fit into the larger system. Now, let us begin with the tree of life. So there are what they call Sephira, and we are being careful here, for not all of this information is for Vicky to share, and we say most of it is not, because she's not of that lineage, yet she uses the understanding of the tree of life and how it moves through the body. And let us say that she did not take this information and then forcibly apply it. She senses where the energy moves and has used some of these terms to describe where the energy is going. So she has not applied this knowledge and put that in so that she's, focusing on, say, a particular energy center. Let us use Bina as an example. For Bina is at the base of your head. So not many people would identify this as a chakra. And in the Kabbalah, it is not called a chakra, for chakra is a Sanskrit term. It is called a sephiroth. So in that understanding, Vicky's feeling the energy there at the back of the head, and rather than saying at the back of the head, she may use the term Bina. Now, it broadens her understanding that there is an energy wheel or center moving about that. Yet in a 12th chakra system, that's not usually identified.
Yeah.
So we would say there are main chakras and there are secondary chakras and even tertiary and so on. So you may have chakras in your hands and in your feet and in your ears, and then they're not often described and depicted within a 12 chakra system, for example, and certainly not in a 7 one. So there's another understanding, for example, in the overlap between the tree of life and the 12 chakra system is that there's a navel chakra, what they call netzach in the Kabbalah's term, in the Hebrew terms. So the navel chakra is often confused in the 7 chakra system as the sacral and the sacral as the base. Yet in the fullest understanding of the 12 chakra system, the base is at the perineum.
Yeah.
The sacral is within the sacrum, where in women you would identify where your womb space is. And then what others would term the sacral is, and others again would term hara, is netzach or the navel chakra. Now, this may be confusing. So if you look at the navel as just under the navel, just under, so not completely connecting with it, then that is one. And often people will term that as the sacral. It is not completely wrong, because even in the Kabbalah terms, the netzach is connected to the sacral in the lower triangle of the tree of life. And yet there is also the energy center of heart in the lower back. And that connects behind the navel to form the triangle. And so people forgetting there are front and back to the energy centers. And so you would see how many of the higher teachings of chakras and energy centers have been forgotten, that there is both a front and there is a back. And in the Kabbalah terms, they have named the back with different names and different attributes, because they do have attributes that differ from the front because the energy flows differently. This is the masculine outward expression, and the back is the yin, the feminine. And so there's a different focus of each point of energy. And so you would have heard Vicky speak about the heart center and then the back of the heart. And that is true for each of the chakras and how they flow in and out. So let us say that is part of the overlap and the understanding. Now, let us be specific, because often people will talk about the Earth star, and yet we would say there's even a deeper one that has been forgotten. You can call it a deep Earth star. There is no other term for it yet, and we will not give it one at this time. So you can know that the Hermetic truth, the Hermetic principle as above, so below, is also true when it comes to the lower centers. So if you have higher centers, does it not make sense to have lower ones?
Yes.
And so this would mean that if you have forgotten about the even lower ones, it means that you have forgotten to ground and connect even more deeply into your Earth center. And in that loosing of that understanding, so have many of you become disembodied people. In other words, you act from the head up, and often just from one part of the brain, so to speak, than the other. And so you become disembodied people, working only from your minds and rather than from the wisdom of your bodies and the wisdom of the earth. And so we will not say that you need to tend to this deeper earth star, let's call it in this case. But if you understand it, that you are connecting deep into the crystalline grids that connects to the crystalline cave that holds the Akashic wisdom of this earth, you would then understand that you are connecting on a deeper level with the wisdom that is held within the earth. And so this takes much, we want to say development, but then that is also not the correct term, because then development means that you have to work on it, or you have to, through time, develop that. Yet we would say it is more about an evolving state of your consciousness and of your energetics. For you to be able to ground that far, we are seeking for the right words, or let us say Vicky's seeking the right words for the energy that we are transmitting to her, must take great evolution in your energetics. So this is a concept that we may need to expand upon with Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
And that may come through the book. Now, so that would be beyond any 12 system chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to give a number on it? We are not, because 12 is useful to understand because it fits in with the teachings and the wisdom of the number 12. And there have been many 12 repeated throughout the history, the 12 archangels, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 temples of Atlantis, and so on and so forth. And yet even within some of these, there have been a hidden 13th. So there is a wisdom in the number 13. And so we would not say, let us be limited to the number 12. Let us say there is a wisdom in the number 12. And there may be that we can agree that 12 are the main chakras, and yet there are more.
And I actually had a little tune coming to me in the shower about as above and so below. So there you go. It was you were linking in then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vicky has got some work ahead of her with the chakras. That's wonderful. Okay, I'm just going to swap back over to mine. Kind of the same sort of vein as we were talking about all the different beings that are working together, but when Vicky's doing healings with her clients, sometimes it'll be like, for me, might be Ari will come through and do some healing work. For Vicky, it will be you that comes through and does some healing work. So I suppose what I'm asking is, the actual healing side is like basically a collective type of healing that goes on, and it's a matter of who that Vicky's client is with her, and the guides that come through. Are they all going to be able to do that type of healing work with the client's guides? Like, is that a realm where healing is part of everyone's knowledge?
Okay, let us expand on that, and then we'll go deeper into your question. So we would say, yes, it is all a co-creation.
Yes.
So it's a co-creation with the human personality that is before Vicky, whether in person or in most cases, and almost exclusively at this time via your electronic devices. So let us say it is a co-creation, and it depends on the needs of that person at that time. What is in their best and highest good? What is their soul desiring? And in terms of their higher self and their particular state of evolution of their soul, of their being, will determine who will come through. Now, Vicky has for some time received the analogy of the Divine Symphony, and we would say that is correct. and for light is sound and sound is light. And let us say, so when all the light beings gather, there is a symphony that is heard in the heavenly realms that is beyond beautiful and exquisite. So the beings that come, and and we will say that Vicky has also used that term for her crystal grids, and we would also agree, for they are also divine consciousness beings that are attracted to the crystalline structure that has crystallized the light. So in that sense, it is a divine symphony. And yet, even through how we flow through her, and she has asked us this question also, sometimes we flow through very strongly and sometimes we don't flow through as strong, according to the needs of the person, yet also according to the energy in which they can take. So there is that. So, and Vicky's getting tongue-tied. How great is the need? What energy can they take? And also, we would say there's also the desire of the guides or the light beings that you work with. And so we'd say in the case of Ari that you would say they have a great desire to connect with you, and they have great fun in doing so, and so have you, and so has Vicky, and she has taken great delight in experiencing them flowing through her. And yet we'd say in the common course of things that is uncommon, because mostly it is us that is flowing through her when she's connecting with a client. But it has happened in other cases where the other person's guides will either take over or co-create with us. So there is a co-creation in that, but there is always an agreement. So when Vicky is opening up to another person's energy and she's opening their Akashic records, she's also opening up into the spirit team, or what she likes to call a divine collective. She's opening up into that energy, and she knows that only that which is divine love and divine light, that are her terms, will flow through to her because of her energetics. She cannot calibrate with anything else.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And just as an extension of that, like soul contracts, we in our circles you quite often say we're born with a soul contract to do A, B, or C. But I'm starting to wonder, with some of our conversations we've been having, that I'm starting to pick up a thing that maybe our higher self, while traveling along through, say, my current lifetime or Vicky's current lifetime, will identify growth in us, and that will actually move or change that soul contract. And as an extension from that, I'm looking at it from this COVID situation that's going on in the planet at the moment. Is that possibly why some people are choosing whatever's gone on, their higher selves are helping them choose to leave now?
Yes.
So
now,
it's fluid.
Let us put on the light for Vicky so you may see her. But we agree with you. And we would say that your understanding is advanced. So we like what Cryon says, and we know that you are familiar with Cryon. So he says that soul contracts are written in invisible ink, and we think that is
nice.
a very accurate description of that, because if you understood how soul contracts are written, and we've guided Vicky to use the term soul agreements as a more accurate understanding, because what occurs also, when you understand that when you sleep, and in terms of what your higher self is doing, your higher self is your I am presence connected to the all, and so we'll have a grandest oversight of what your soul agreements will be, and they're always amended from where you are and your current understanding and your current evolution. Now, and some people will not fulfill their soul agreements, and sometimes it has changed that it's no longer in their best and highest good to do so, and so that a soul agreement becomes null and void, or sometimes they do not live up to the potentials that were given the opportunities for them to move into, and so those soul agreements then also become null and void in that sense, or they are rewritten. Now, let us say that there are some soul agreements that in some ways are written in ink, because you cannot change them. So you cannot change your biological parents. You chose the DNA that you wish to born with, and what country that you're going to born with, and so therefore what social structure you agree to partake of. Now, you may change that, Now, but that depends on your level of your consciousness and the evolution of your understanding. And so your soul agreements are many. You may have soul agreements with the coffee shop owner down the corner who gives you the nice coffee that morning, or your tea or your chai or whatever it may be, or your juice, and gives you a smile, or you give them the smile, and that is your agreement with each other. You brighten each other up your day every morning, and that, or on your walk, or whatever that may be. That can be a soul agreement. And yet we would say that there are, of course, grander agreements also. So there are agreements upon the collective of all of this planet, that you're all in this together at this time. So of course, are there people through their higher selves, we won't even say rewriting their soul agreements, because there were always these potentials for this to occur. And we would say this is one of the higher potentials than there ever was, as to what was possible in coming at this time. But yet there were always potentials for some people to exit at this point. And we would say on a human level, of course, there is grief in that. And there is loss in that. And yet from the higher realms and from the souls of those people exiting, there is great celebration, for there is a higher plan, a purpose. And that is the lifting of the evolution of the planet and the lifting of the consciousness. And some people know from their higher self and the soul perspective that the evolution of their soul at this time, at this level of the level of consciousness on the planet, their soul's evolution is best served by exiting, for many various reasons. Either they weren't going to develop further, or they would do more service to humanity on the other side, or there are many reasons. So do not judge the souls are leaving. Some of them are masters and some of them are not, in your level of comprehension of the word mastery.
Yeah, that's what I've been feeling. And it's like, you get people in that fear mode at the moment, and a dear friend of mine is just living by what she's seeing on YouTube, and it's all this sort of negative connotation of what's going on, and it's just like I'm trying to explain this to her, and she's not willing to hear it, I suppose. But I want to thank you, because I wanted to make sure that, did I have it back the front? And because I'm not in fear, and it's like I'm over it, and I'm starting to post photos of my sunset every night and that, because I want people to come back to the beauty of the planet, not the fear of the planet.
And you do people a great service in doing so. For Vicky has written many times of the beauty of nature and the healing power of beauty and of Mother Earth in all her glory and all her majesty. And sunsets are indeed a magical time in the changing of the light.
Second by second.
Yes, and you see the color spectrum through the sky. And does not the earth receive such a majesty of bathing in these colors that is like a healing? So hail the dawn and hail the sunset, for there is a magic and a healing in the colors that come through in the light at that time. And they are the best times of all the day to be out in nature. Yeah,
I totally agree. I've finally settled into being back on the coast, and I'm admiring being out, because I thought I'd miss my sunsets from out in the outback where they're so vibrant, but here I'm finding that same vibrancy in a different layer with the ocean and the blues coming in.
Yes, and the ocean may often reflect the sunset, and so you have a meeting of the air and the water and the elements.
Yeah, it's beautiful. While we're on the elements, here's a fun one. I have a tree right behind me, beautiful big gum. And I've had to have the tree man come around, and he's identified it as dangerous. This tree is majestic. It is huge, but they're saying it's split a certain way in the trunk, and it's got this and it's got that. So they're asking us to consider chopping it down. So my question is, when I, for instance, was looking at the vanadinite that I've got coming in the mail to me from my beautiful sister Vicky, she channeled a message from the vanadinite to me. Is that possible to do that with the tree as well? Because it's also a being.
It is.
In relation to, does it feel like it's endangering us?
That is a wise question again. For, let us say, of course, there are beings in the trees. And of course, there are elemental beings who are still within the kingdoms of heaven who work with the trees, the plants, the flowers. And you may commune with them and ask the consciousness of the tree. And, you may call them dryads if you wish, and that has been the term that has been given to them. So the tree spirits, and others may have different names for that. So let us use just that term. We may just call it consciousness, and for that is a very generic term, and we say generic in that is universally applied. So you may speak to the consciousness of the tree and ask what it wants. And if it does come to the point that you do need to have parts of it cut, or indeed all of it cut, you may speak to it first and inform it of what may transpire, so that if it needs to go, you may withdraw its energy.
Right. Yep. That's probably more my true part of my question, because I have a lot of beautiful trees here and I don't want to see any of them come down.
And we would agree, for they serve a grand purpose. Now, in terms of this tree, you may speak to it and inform it that this is what the tree person told you, and say, is there a way for you to continue standing there beautifully and safely? And we would say that there is. And we would say, what is it that you can do? What is it that the tree can do to make it safe, so that there does not need to be either a cutting down, or if in the middle circumstance, having part of it cut down? And we would say more a pruning, and the pruning may strengthen it because it then grows in a correct way. So we would commune with a tree, and then in time, not yet, because the tree lopper may be fast to lop the tree. So we would say, in time, ask the tree person, is it necessary to cut the whole tree, or is it possible to prune the tree so the tree grows stronger and more safely?
I did ask him that, because that was my fear too. So I asked him, can we not cut it below where it forks out, so that it can reshoot from below the place where it splits and leave that beautiful solid trunk in place? And he went, no, it actually later on would then grow in, it would weaken the top of it, creating a weak top or something like that. And he's a bit like me too. He doesn't want to cut a tree down unless it's absolutely necessary. I had one down the back. I showed him, I said, I think it has to go for the neighbours. And he went, no way, that tree's not going to grow any bigger. It's not danger to anyone. He said, I think it's a beautiful tree and I would be leaving it there. And I told him about, have you spoken to the trees? And he went, oh, I get a feeling with all the trees. So he is actually tuning in, working with them. Yeah.
So speak to the tree.
Yes.
You may find that it is ready to withdraw.
Yes.
So find out from the tree what it is wishing.
Yeah. And the neighbour will have a little chuckle when they find me out there hugging the tree, having a conversation.
And so we would say there would be a process in that, and for you there would be even ceremony in that.
Yeah.
So know that it's a transition, like anything is a transition when it changes from one form to the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. What I really been, my question, I was watching my friend Cryon, and it came up about the Lemurian teaching wheel, which I hadn't experienced before. And I suppose we've kind of have already answered this in earlier questions, but I believe that after watching that we could have been possibly both the star mothers that came down from the Pleiadian zones to teach Earth people, and be the people that were learning the lessons through different time frame. So I'm feeling that can we, the question is, can we have been both? And therefore, like, a lot of us may embody that star mother wisdom still in our earthly beings now.
Yes. Where do you think your ascended masters came from?
Yeah.
They were masters from other realms who volunteered to come to this earth plane, and some chose to come as avatars, and some chose to come through the evolutionary wheel. Some were, and would say many came through Lemuria and Atlantis, and were high priests and high priestesses, and then ascended through the evolution of their soul journey to become the ascended masters through the earthly plane. And so we would say these beings of light are eternal, as are you, and so have come across the cosmos, and it is vaster than you may even fathom. And so your souls are eternal and have cycled through many star systems. And of course, you may have been star mothers, as you understand the term, and you could have been avatars in other star systems and yet choose to come to the earthly plane. So you can have been your own ancestors, sure.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun way, and I think it will open up a lot of people to understand that we are all one, and we are all capable of experiencing all different things on different levels as one.
And when you understand the one in the grand circle of the returning to life and the cycle of life, where you begin, you may end. And so you may come into this lifetime having been a master, and so you then leave the earth cycle again becoming the master, and yet you would not have come to this planet if you're not masters to begin with. And so let us say that there are many understandings for the soul that is even beyond this conversation and beyond your human comprehension. And there are some souls that have needed and come across from other star systems that have needed the let us call it the curriculum, though we say that in a little bit of play on words, in being here. But let us say for the vast majority, you have been masters and have come here for further mastery in this earthly realm, in this physical density. And so that has been the case for other ascended masters and those that you have known who have been great masters upon this earthly realm, and still continue to volunteer to cycle through the lifetimes in subsequent lifetimes, and some have exited because they're of greatest service from the non-physical realms. And all this depends on where they feel that they are most of service, and that is what you would do when you transition from this lifetime, is choose where you'll be of greatest service and how you may do that, whether it's in a physical body or from the non-physical realms.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so for a bit of fun, I had 2 ways to go for Vicky and I, a lifetime that we've been together, worked together, a lifetime where we've either that will inspire us and assist us in this lifetime, or a lifetime and a lifetime that may need healing or release for whatever may have transpired there, so that we can release some more of that karma or embrace some of that karma.
Okay. Let us say that in time you may evolve your question, because you may go even beyond what is past lives, and let us say past potentialities or future potentialities.
Yeah.
And because if you are living not just this lifetime, but this potential of this lifetime, there are multiple potentials of this lifetime. And so there are other realms of your understanding, dimensions of your understanding that you are living other potentialities. So that is something also you could choose to play with. And we only bring this to your understanding so that you know that you are only limited as to the questions that you may ask. So let us return to your question, for it is still a good question. We are not berating your question at all. We just wish to expand
I
upon
appreciate
your
that, because that's opened up so much more again. Yes.
Yes.
And on it goes.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, going back to your understanding of saying we are all one, we are all one, and we say we in the collective, we, just not just us from the non-physical realms, but you in the physical realms, for we are all individuations of the creator. Now, what we wish to say in that is that we are one energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the one energy flows through all.
Yeah, beautiful.
And as the one energy flows through all, you are me and me are you, and we are all. We are one. And so in opening the libraries of light and looking at past lives, you could tap into any past life of anybody's, if you so wished. Yet we would say be careful in doing that, for if it is foreign to your DNA, you may not be ready to receive it. So that is our only caution. So we would say only ask if it is in your best and highest good.
Good, right.
Yes. So let us say when you open up through the libraries of light, you may tap into any attributes that you wish. Say you are desiring courage and you're needing courage in a particular situation, you may call upon courage. If you are needing abundance because you need to call upon abundance, call upon abundance. That is part of the one energy. Now, let us go further again. You have a divine blueprint, the highest potentials of this lifetime. Now, that is, you may see it as a golden energy matrix, and Vicky has been calling it as a divine soul template. In a way, it is a template. A blueprint is another way of terming it. Yeah, we do not wish to say that it defines you and therefore there is no room for growth, but there's infinite room for growth, and all eventualities and all potentialities are held within, for it is a multidimensional energy matrix. So you may call upon that in asking for anything that you wish to connect to. So whether you wish to connect to your abundance, your health, your well-being, whatever it may be, it is within that too. And that is for all to access as they wish and so desire. But let us return to your question. So a lifetime, let us play with that. So we are playing with you.
I love playtime.
Yes, we know you do. Okay, so we will reference this planet Earth, for that will make the most complete sense to both of you at this time. And let us go to the time of Atlantis.
Oh, wonderful.
Where you were both temple workers. And both of you had many lifetimes through working through the temples. And there are many temples in Atlantis, and there were the main 12 main temples, and yet there were also smaller temples also. And as you evolved in your understanding and in your evolution of your soul and the evolution of your being, and know that in Atlantean times, they had a very good way of understanding your potentials even as a child. So they would assign you to the temple according to your soul mission and your vibrational frequency and what your gifts and talents were. And so there were lifetimes that you worked through we don't even want to use the lower temples or the lesser temples, because that does not compute. You would just say the more local temples or the community temples, and that may be a better term. So you worked in a community temple together where you were great friends.
Oh, nice.
And you recognized each other, of course, from previous lifetimes. And both of you were devoted to your work and believed, and we would say went beyond belief. It was an embodiment of this knowing, of not just of service, but of love to what you did, and the meaning behind it, and the purpose behind it, and the great healing potentials behind it. And of course, in these temples, many would come to get their energetic alignment or the vibrational alignment to upkeep their physical bodies and energy systems. And so both of you have wisdom when it comes to energy systems of the body. And you work closely together in that. And we see the color orange. And the color orange was significant in this temple and the energy of carnelian. Yes. Oh, you knew. And we know. Yes. For in this lifetime here, not you, but others are dismissive of the lower chakras because they are very enamored of the higher chakras and a way they can escape their bodies and their physical human lives. Yet we would say in the mastering of the, let's call them the more human chakras, the lower chakras, so do you master your human lives.
Yeah.
And the Atlanteans knew this. And it's not to say we are not glamorizing Atlantis, and we're not putting it on a pedestal. For while there was the golden age and it was a wondrous time upon this planet, we would say that not all was golden, as you very well know, otherwise it would not have fallen. So there were times that were golden, there were times that were not golden, and even within the golden age, there was the coming of its demise. And so it reached its pinnacle and yet could not sustain it. And yet we would say that 1500 years of a golden age is still a significant period of time. When you consider it, that is when you go back to 500 common era now, that is a long time ago. So you can understand that 1500 years is a significant period of time. So let us say, we just would like to be clear in our understanding so that we are not glamorizing or idealizing Atlantis. There was still much wisdom in there. Yet, while some of that wisdom was lost, it is returning, for not all was lost. Some of it was scattered and fragmented, yet it is coming all back together in the new golden age.
Beautiful.
And so in that, when you understand the energy of carnelian and understand the orange ray and the sacral chakra, it is how you relate to the world. So you relate to the world through relationships, through money, through your work, through creativity. And that is what most of people's lives, their day-to-day lives. So why would you not want to master the sacral?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And it's been the one that's been the hardest probably for me to master in this lifetime, and I'm starting to understand why.
Yes, and why carnelian is beautiful for you at this time, and why vanadinite will also support you in this, from the base to the sacral into the navel. And we would say the whole trunk of the tree of life, for that is your body. For when you get the base and the foundations right, so does the rest come into alignment. And we want to go back to your tree. For when your roots go deep and you have a good root system or a good foundation, so you may grow taller and be strong and be firm and not split in your energy. And so that is a good depiction of what may happen when we do not have a good root system or a good foundation. And so this occurs for all human beings. And when you do not tend to your base chakra, when you do not tend to your sacral, when you do not tend to these lowest chakras, this may happen in that you split in your energy. You try and come into the higher realms, and you may access on some levels of your being in the higher realms, yet you cannot embody this. And so what some people tune into is disembodied, and it can have sometimes no applicability to the human life and the human realms. And so you bring it down and becomes distorted almost in its understanding.
Okay. All right. Last two questions. What would be helpful to know for the meditation for tomorrow?
Yes. So Vicky wanted to tell you earlier, but let us say this now, that it will only be you and her and Robert.
Right.
And yet there is the power of 3. She was concerned that it was not going to be big enough. And she was concerned that she was not ready enough and did not have enough time to promote and do some of the things that you had suggested, and so on and so forth. And yet we say that tomorrow is a perfect time to do this, and you may post this, or she may post this on YouTube, and then therefore people can continue to contribute even across time and space. And it does not have to be all live in the moment of now, for it is an eternal moment of now.
Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, and that brings us to the last question. With these play dates, also with what Vicky wants to put up on YouTube, and possibly myself, I'm feeling I'm getting a bit caught up in I've got to make it look this way and the perfection of it all. But when should we be looking at, can you see that we're getting closer to starting to want to start putting some of this information, because we will have to cut pieces out, as you've said, some that's not for general populations, some's just for Vicky, some's personal. So at the moment we'll be doing pieces where we'll take pieces out. When do you see that we'll be able to get this out into the world?
This question is very much dependent on both of you.
Yeah.
We would say, let us give you a guideline as to where we see your energy at this time. Now, we have guided Vicky that after the equinox will always be a good time to begin to be posting videos on YouTube. What we had already told her that she should be playing with filming herself in speaking to the camera and doing that before she has the courage to post on YouTube. And yet we would say that at any time that you feel ready and you feel the videos are ready is a good time to begin. And so you do not need to wait for a particular posting of the time. And so we would say, for example, with the Afghanistan meditation, is that once you receive the recording, which will be very quickly, you may post as soon as you're ready, as soon as Vicky is ready. Okay. And so therefore that it may be the first posting, even though there has been previous videos that you are playing with. What we would also say about that is do not be overly concerned with the perfection of them, for that will evolve over time also. And we would say begin, for in the beginning there will be feedback, and in the feedback you will evolve, and in the evolution more things will be yet to come. And so play with it as you're playing with it, have fun with it as you're having fun with it, but do not yet see it as burdensome. For if it becomes burdensome, that means it's a good sign that you are being too serious about it. So play with it. The messages are there, and people will benefit from the hearing of it. And as you share it, more people will come. And as more people will come, the videos will get better. And we say that not in terms of the messages, but perhaps in the quality of the equipment or the quality of the editing. But beyond that, there'll be just a perfect evolution of who is attracted to the videos and what will come through. For then you may begin to receive audience questions.
Yeah, wonderful.
And so we'll evolve the conversations.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm happy to leave it there if you'd like to. If you would have any final piece of wisdom you would like to share with Vicky or myself, I could keep asking questions. I'll leave that up to you.
Let us say there will continue to be many opportunities for asking your questions, and know that this is the first of many, and you may swap between your guides and with us, for there is a wisdom in their energy that is valuable, particularly in the bringing of joy. And so you notice that while we appreciate the energy of play, they naturally bring that forward, and being closer in alignment with your human bodies and the understanding of that movement. And so you notice that there's more movement in their energy than you may find in ours, and yet there is still some movement as the energy flows through. So let us say play with the different energies and the different questions, and begin to let go of perfection.
Yeah.
Know that all is perfectly well. And as your videos will evolve, they'll become more professional, because you will both become so busy that you will need a professional third to support you.
Yeah. I like the sound of that.
Vicky does too.
Yeah, and then we can do this stuff and leave the technical stuff. I've just decided to employ my 12-year-old. I said, I need you to start playing with these videos, because she loves to do all this sort of thing. So you're going to have to be my girl.
Yeah. And she very much appreciates the role.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful in the current energy that we're all in within our family group.
Yes. We agree. In terms of our parting words, know that there is always much more to come. Know that what we share now is true in this moment. According to the capacity of Vicky to translate energetically, and for your human minds to comprehend. Let us say, some of these understandings we will evolve further and advance your understanding of them as we begin to lay the foundations of some of these concepts, and they will evolve. And some will be through the spoken word, and some will be through the written word. That you may use transcripts also. So when there are nuggets of wisdom, as you deem them, you may share these nuggets of wisdom, and there'll be great cross-fertilization between both of you through your page and hers. And in so doing, for some people will gravitate to the sound bites and not have the patience or the focus to listen to the 1 hour discussions, and yet still more will come. So that is our parting words about these videos and these play dates. And we would say do them as often as is comfortable for you both in time and energy. And then these will continue to evolve, and you'll come to some structure. And we say some structure, and because structure is a masculine energy that anchors it into the physical realm, that gives you the freedom to play within that structure. And the structure is not a limitation, but is supportive of the energy, so that you know that this is what you're doing. For example, today was with us, and next time maybe with RI. And then we will say, watch what unfolds.
Nice.
Yes, we are looking forward to these times of communion, times for play, and times for connecting out with a wider audience.
Lovely. I know Vicky and I are both looking forward to that as well.
We know you are.
Yeah, most definitely.
And so are we. We have been waiting for this time.
Yeah, wonderful. Every question just unpacks another layer of understanding too.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it immensely. Yeah.
You're very welcome, dear one. Know that, let's circle back to your question about your guides coming through when Vicky opens your Akashic Records, and the full embodiment of your Pleiadian guides, let us say that it's very familiar to Vicky's energy, for she has a Pleiadian soul history. And so she's very easily able to embody that energy. And because of your soul histories together and how often you have journeyed together, again, there's a very close vibrational match. And because energetically Vicky has, she likes to say, opened you up so many times, energetically, she's very familiar with your energy. And so that has been a close and comfortable fit for her. It is not foreign to her, and is not having to accustom her body to her, for she has felt them coming through at different times, even before she opened your Akashic records. And there were moments that you saw her in speaking like the Pleiadians and moving and having expressions like the Pleiadians. And yet now that she has opened your records, there they were speaking through her. And so there was a preparation in some ways for that. So your guides have come through far more strongly than any other guides have come through in terms of having personal communications. And it is why we will, in most cases, be the ones communing, because we are the ones that have prepared Vicky in her body and in her energetics to be able to receive our message as much as she can.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So
it is a gift, in other words.
Most definitely. A beautiful gift.
Yes. Yeah, for both of you.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm thinking I'm nearly ready for another healing moment. I think it's time.
Yes. We would agree with you.
Yeah.
So sync up your calendars.
Yes.
And make it happen.
Yes, I think it's time.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay. So if you have no other questions.
Well, if you want to, let me just have a little look.
Have a little look.
It's not really a huge question, but it is. And it's in relation to frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So we're emitting, everything's frequency. And to me, frequency is just a measurement of energy.
Yes.
Is that a good way to term it? So frequency to me is like if one of our organs, say kidney, is playing up through whatever's been going on and creating grief for the kidney, does it actually have its own vibration that then affects the whole vibration of our being that emits out? Or is it that there's this soup of all of our energy being affected by the kidney?
We love this question. And it's a wonderful question, not a little question at all.
It's like, does it really matter? I'm thinking, yeah, it really does.
Yes, it really does. And we would agree with you. So let us go back to those Hermetic principles and say, well, we previously mentioned as above, so below, and let us go to another one. Within every macrocosm is a microcosm, and conversely. So just as you are microcosm of the macro, so are the cells of your body, the microcosms of your macro of your body, and similarly to each organ. So there are in some ways cycles within cycles and organisms within organisms, for your whole body is a confluence of all microorganisms that are communicating together and commune together, are communities together that form together to form organs.
Yeah.
And have various functions within your body. So yes, they can have different frequencies. And we would say, just like the analogy of the Divine Symphony. So do you have a symphony of energies working within you to create a greater harmonic? And you would know, having working with the orchestras, that there can be many different tones to create one great harmony. Now, if there's any discordance anywhere, does it not create a grating on your ears that almost overpowers the rest of the harmony, for it is so disharmonious? So, for example, you have a grand symphony and then you have an out of tune violin. You will not be able to not hear the out of tune violin. Yet when the violin is in tune and in harmony with the rest of the playing of the orchestra, it gets lost in the energy of the all, but contributes to the all in the wonderful workings of the harmonics and the symphony. So the same goes with the organs, and with, you know, go down to the smallest microorganisms.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And while you're talking about that analogy, when I started uncovering that I was more than what I looked at in the mirror, I was away at Moranbilla Choir, where we had all the instruments and all the choir. And there was a point in time, and I don't know, now that you've brought up the Atlantean connection, I think I understand what I was doing. But for some reason, the choir was the I can't remember whether I had 100 or 300 children in front of me, and it was they were all depleted, and it was all lack of creation, they were worn out, that sort of thing. So I thought, and I just sat there and I went quiet. And then all of a sudden I saw over the whole choir, because I asked, what could I do for that's the highest good for all? And I actually saw a full body chakra system sitting over the top of the choir. So I actually I brought energy up through that chakra system, which actually balanced everyone. So while I was just focused on the one that was over the top of the whole choir, it actually my intention was to encompass the whole choir. So I think I now fully understand what I was doing then, now knowing that I must that wisdom of the energy systems was coming through me, even though I didn't know. I was just following the lead of what was coming to me.
So you may have, you perfectly encapsulate that. You may have a chakra system of a particular group. You may have a chakra system of a particular property or space. So that when it is harmonic, then all the chakras of this space is working together and is harmonious and in alignment. And we would say that is also what is occurring here on your planet. But you would have also minor ones within each country, within each space, each continent. And so there are many that operate on a smaller, but understand they're wheels, the energy wheels or vortexes. And so some will say this is the base chakra, or that is the base chakra of the earth. And we will say that there are more than what people would understand in terms of only 7 chakras of the earth, because there are many energy vortexes or wheels that are power centers upon the earth. And so this is also, you can apply this universally, again, the microcosm of the macro, or macrocosm of the micro, if you understand that. So you can apply that in that way. So yes, you have applied that understanding perfectly to your choir and how you work the energy of that, and there's a perfect description. And so we would say that when everything is in alignment, everything sings, does it not, and has a beautiful vibrational frequency. And yet, and this is the symphony is a perfect analogy of unity consciousness. For, let us say that here you are in your individuated bodies and personalities, and yet you are connected to the all, and so are the instruments of a symphony or an orchestra. So the violin is the violin, and is not the cello, and is certainly not the drums, and yet they all play together and connect together to create the beautiful harmony.
Yeah, lovely. Everything's aligning.
Yes, but the violin does not have to be the drum or the cello or anything else. And this is something that we wish to impart upon all of humanity, for everyone looks to see that they should be doing it like this person or that teaching, and or that spiritual practice or that one, and saying, why does it not apply to me? Or why do I not connect with it? Or why is it not working for me? Perhaps you are the violin and not the cello.
Or
perhaps you are the drum.
Yeah, perfect.
And it need not matter, because all is required in the grand symphony of life.
Magic.
Yes, we agree.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Wow.
Well, thank you for that last question.
Well, look, I can keep them coming if you like. It's a never-ending
it is
place of wonder and place of experience and knowledge and wisdom, and it's exciting to keep uncovering the layers, and then to receive the confirmations of, okay, I wasn't just imagining that.
No.
Yeah, because I know another time the same thing with the choir, but I knew I could hear what they were saying, and
Yes.
I actually, the head lady kicked everyone out of the room, and she said, just fix it. And I'm like, okay. And I sat down and I actually did it through my system.
Yes.
And I brought it up to I brought the energy up to my throat, and I could not get it past there. And I'm like, why can't I get it past the throat? And as it turned out, when we brought the choir in, I only had to get it to there because it was up to the choir to sing the energy
Beautiful.
out. And
yes.
they did it. They came in and did it in one take.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, so
that was a great moment for you. And let us say, you only in that way you only needed the permission for you to be able to see it and do it. So let us say, in this moment, in any moment for you, you only need to give yourself permission.
Yeah.
Some of that is confidence, and some of that is feeling that you have permission. So you may ask, do I have permission in this moment? And maybe asking us, or maybe asking your guides, or maybe asking a person if a person is involved. Ask permission, and then you'll be granted permission or not. And then you will know what is yours to do and what is not.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. This is an opportune time to conclude our conversation, yet we would say that this is just one segment of many.
Beautiful. And thank you so much to all.
You are most welcome. And let us say we have enjoyed this opportunity to commune with you, and to whoever may partake of this conversation in the future to come, in the eternal moment of now.
Lovely. Thank you.
We are complete.